So it has come to my attention that I can kind of keep track of what I'm doing without taking videos. So with that being said, I'm going to try to make these more entertaining to watch, because up until now they've been much more so just informational for myself, and a lot harder for people to really watch. So we'll try that out. Welcome to week of the ISUZU revival. So we have a couple things planned, some stuff I already didn't record, some new stuff we got as per usual. So let's check out what I got. Down here we have a Eastwood TIG 200. It is a TIG only machine. It's a square wave TIG machine, so I can use aluminum. Finally, it has a foot pedal and all that. Guy included a big old argon tank as well. Haven't been able to get it to turn on yet, just because I think some of the connections are corroded, so I'll have to go in and clean some stuff. So, taking a look at the truck, nothing is overwhelmingly new. As a matter of fact, I haven't touched it much at all, aside from removing the rear wheels. The things that have changed, however, in these last couple COVID months, being able to design and spitball, I've come up with a couple different ideas. One of which is the supporting method of the truck. Now, I actually fabricated these. These are finitely adjustable jack stands, I like to call them, using half-inch rebar, or I think that's 3/8 actually, and a 7/8-9 grade 8 hardware lead screw, whatever you want to call it. Essentially, what I did is make these such that I could level the car out, both in roll and pitch, I guess. Such that when it comes time to fabricate things on the truck, since I don't have a gigantic frame stand, I can have at least a reference to the horizontal, which will give me a little less future headaches. So like I said in previous videos, all the things that have been fabricated on the car as of yet have been referenced from datums within the car itself, meaning that the horizontal wasn't actually horizontal, it was just like 2 inches away from another thing and 2 inches, like, respectively from the other side. Doing this will actually just help me work faster and make my measurements more reliable. So with that being said, we have to go right back to where we were working. So the last thing we were up to was working on the biggest to the smallest things going in the engine bay and in the cab. So obviously the first was the steering rack. Steering rack was first, of course, besides the motor. And then after that, in terms of the engine bay, it was the brake booster. So then the brake booster rose a bunch of random questions that ended up throwing me into a gigantic rabbit hole that I will explain to everybody right now. So when it was coming time to decide where I was going to mount the brake booster, I had to then decide whether or not I was going to use the factory ISUZU brake booster or the Camaro one. And then that rose another question. And that question is this: will I be able to adapt the Camaro or the ISUZU brake booster to fit any universal master cylinder? And I believe the answer is yes. It might not be as graceful as I would like, but it's possible. So with that being said, the brake booster and the master cylinder were both things that I wanted to tackle around at the same time, to get them both done, get them both mounted, because that's important. So then that leads me to another point. If I have the master cylinder, I need to know what size calipers I'm using, because if I don't know what size calipers I'm using and I choose to buy the wrong size master cylinder, my brake feel is going to be way off, if not like completely screwed. So I had to go find some calipers. Originally, I wanted to find some 4-pots for the front and the back, which is what I eventually did, but I had some hurdles I went through to get there. The first of which was buying the wrong calipers. And here we have two 2004 Tacoma front calipers, and they are cast iron and extremely heavy, yet they are 4-pots and they're pretty beefy. I believe they accept a 12-inch rotor, which is like fine, you know. And I got them for $25 brand new for a pair, which is a good deal. But that didn't really do it for me, and I kind of was hesitant about continuing on finding another part to add on to that set. So I kind of scrapped it and I went looking for a different path. And funny enough, I ended up with 2011 Camaro SS calipers. So, unlike my Charger, they are 4 pots all around. However, the difference is they're all aluminum. So check this out. Janky, but in here we have 2 rear calipers and 1 front caliper, all aluminum. One's lime green for whatever reason, and the other 2 are black. I currently have 1 front caliper shipping to me from eBay. That will complete this set. So if you notice, these calipers are quite a bit larger than those cast iron ones I just showed you down there. Yet they are significantly lighter, which is awesome. And on top of that, they accept a 14-inch rotor, which is perfect. And I will show you guys a picture of that exact caliper fitting in an 18-inch wheel, which is the plan for the truck. So like I said, there's a Camaro SS caliper with a 14-inch rotor, all fitting in an 18-inch rim. Now don't worry about those wheels. I had a very bad experience with them, and I just don't want to talk about it. They're not here anymore. All of this to say, I now have my calipers, which is definite, meaning I can go comfortably buy a master cylinder that I know will give me a good braking feel, and adapt it to a brake booster. So then I think I've decided I want to use the ISUZU brake booster for 2 reasons. One of which, it has a smaller diaphragm, so the brake feel should be a lot stronger. It should have a much stiffer brake with less vacuum surface area, which I value to be a good thing. And the second reason is that it just bolts right in. There's already the bracket for it, so why waste my time if there's already a positive. So once the brake booster is back in, I am going to actually go back and redo the initial motor mounts. I know I already mentioned that. I said that I had to redo the stud motor mounts because I had clearance issues with the steering column, which is true still. I then tried to go back and make another set of motor mounts. I quickly realized that they would not work because it did not really give me adequate clearance to remove the motor easily, and that was the whole idea. I wanted to be able to pull the motor pretty easily. So let's take a look at them real quick. Those are the stud mounts shown before, and I made this, and I just mentioned it briefly in the last video. The issue I was having is if I had made another bracket like this on this side, actually removing the motor would have been nearly impossible, just because this was flush mount with the casting of the block, and trying to fish it out between the two, and it was such a tight fit, it would have been a disaster. So basically my goal is to make this same style bracket, except make this section bolt on. That way it'll make it extremely easy to be removed, and I won't have any clearance with issues with the steering column. First task. Let's get going on the motor mounts.